Hello? Hello? Hello, hello? Are we here? Where are we? I can't see me face. Where are we? There we are. Hello! Welcome. Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0, and it's a result that we were all hoping for. Not necessarily the result or the fashion in which we were hoping it would. Get him and the fuck off the screen. A win. A win nonetheless. The clock is still going, as you can see. Let me just sort that out. There we go. Full time. Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0. I don't know. Many complaints to have, other than necessarily what there was on show from Anthony Taylor. Jesus Christ. Just one of the worst refereeing performances you'll see ever. Let's be honest. It was just a shit show from start to finish. The absolute all-time record for yellow cards in a game ever. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. And let's be honest, can you really recall a booking that was relatively worthy? There wasn't really anything to go off of. It was the most yellow cards given out in a single game of all time. You look at Battle of the Bridge. You look at Arsenal versus Manchester United in history with Van Nistelrooy and you know, Gary Neville and Roy Keane and you know, all these games. Premier League of all time. Not of all time, but in terms of Premier League of all time in the Premier League. It's the most yellow cards ever given out. Before we carry on, hey! 10 o'clock. Please do smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and hit the bell notification to be notified of any future content on the channel. Again, Chelsea with the win. It was scrappy. It was to be expected. It was a result that we all saw coming, I guess. It was not so much the result, but the performance that we put in. It was so typical of Chelsea coming back from an international break. It was so typical of a Chelsea side that were up against the Bournemouth side that got a good result coming into the international break. I'm not surprised that it was as tough as it was, but by God, did we make it harder than it needed to be. And I think if you watch my preview, again, there are previews for all of these games on this channel. If you haven't watched already, then please do in future. It was a hard-fought win. I don't know if necessarily it was hard-fought, but I just don't know. It was scrappy from start to finish, both on the pitch from both sides, but also from Anthony Taylor. It made it so much harder to I don't know, get invested in the game in a sense that you just thought that it was going to end in one player getting sent off, and maybe more so than others. It might have been Marc Cucurella, it might have been Sanchez might have got sent off as well, but Sancho came on, got booked ridiculously early and quickly for pleading the case of some sort or kind. I don't know. It was just a bit of a mess. But overall, just a really scrappy game. But one thing I will take from this game more than anything else is that it was a scrappy game, but it was a victory for Chelsea, that we've come away with a win in a game that would have seemingly been anything other than a Chelsea win in any other season in the last couple of seasons. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Do you know what I mean? It was a game that in the last couple of seasons may have come across as a game that Chelsea would have fluffed their lines. And I know it took until the 86th minute. It took until a substituted Christopher NKUNKU, who is struggling to get game time for Chelsea Football Club as of late, to come on and score one of the scruffiest goals you'll see us score in quite some time, in place of a Nicholas Jackson, who has been our front man. We don't have Osimhen. We don't have Mark Guiu. I mean, he's on the bench, but he's not going to start for Chelsea. He's not going to play for Chelsea more likely than not. As negative as the game might have seemed, I do think that there are positives to take from this game, in the fact that we overcame adversity in the form of a bald-headed man in Anthony Taylor, in the form of a Bournemouth side relentlessly kicking at us, pulling our shirts, pushing, fighting, everything. They did every single possible thing that there was to do to put us off our game, and we came out on top with the win. And it wasn't pretty, to say the least. But again, like I say, it was one of those games where it really screamed Chelsea were either going to draw or we were going to lose it really late. So the fact alone that NKUNKU came on, did what he needed to do. He came on, got the goal, got the win, got all 3 points on his own, with 3 or 4 players around him trying to shut him down, trying to close him down. It was a testament to the fact that he came on with a face like thunder as well. He really looked annoyed to be coming on at the time that he did. I think the 79th minute, 78th minute, whenever it was. And regardless, came on. I don't blame him either, but he came on, scored the winner. And after the game, Maresca was holding him. They were in jubilation. They were, patting each other on the back. They were celebrating together. They were smiling. They were laughing, and it was good to see. It was really good to see. Maresca as well on the sideline. He was getting really passionate. He was getting really aggressive. He was getting really hyped up in that game, much like the other, the players were, that, trying to give Anthony Taylor any reason to book them. Of course, Enzo Maresca was one of the people to get booked as well. It was, and will probably be for quite some time, the most bookable game of all time in Premier League history, with 15 bookings in a game that no player really came close to getting sent off at any point. But regardless, the most bookings of all time in an otherwise really boring game. How Anthony Taylor can be allowed to referee a Chelsea game from anywhere near, in the future, it's absurd. It's the most bookings in 80 years, according to Luke. The most bookings in a league match in England at the top level in 80 years. I don't know how true that is, but I tend to believe Luke with his statistics. Was it a dirty match? It was not a dirty match at all. There was a few niggles, there was a few kicks, a few pushes, a few. I mean, Fofana's one was so weak. Colwell's one wasn't even a booking at all. It was a great challenge. Cucurella got booked for doing a shoulder barge. Vega got booked, I don't know why, I can't remember. Jackson got booked for protesting a dive. Just ridiculous. Sanchez got booked for getting in the way, I suppose. Maresca got booked for being passionate on the sideline. Jadon Sancho got booked for protesting. And Joao Felix got booked for being shite, I suppose, because let's be honest, he didn't have the best of games. But yeah, truth be told, a bit of a strange game. He's taken charge of 2 out of 4 games this season and 3 out of 5 in total as he was ref for the final game last season, Harry. Make that make sense. How does it make sense? It's almost like they're doing it on purpose, doesn't it? It seems like they're doing it on purpose to just get a rise out of us Chelsea fans. Why does he continue to get match after match after match, including Chelsea? It makes no sense. It really doesn't make any sense. And the fact alone that this is the most booked game of all time, that includes Chelsea with Anthony Taylor as the referee, surely that in and of itself should be a sign that, you know, the FA, they just need to stop giving him the games. They need to stop giving him the games. It's absolutely ridiculous. Sanchez with a fantastic save to keep it at 0-0. Cucurella, I thought, was pretty shit, I must be honest. Colwill, decent. Fofana, not the best in terms of giving away that penalty. Disasi, absolutely diabolical performance from him. Arguably one of the worst performances you'll see from Chelsea player in history, I must be honest. Renato Vega, I'd be happy to see him never play as a CDM ever again, truth be told. Caicedo, I thought was pretty good, all things considered. You would think, wouldn't you? You would think Cucurella, booked, looked a little dicey. I don't know what other options we have at left back at the moment. I know Vega can play as a left back, but let's be honest, Cucurella wasn't great today. Chilwell has to be clawing. He has to be clawing for that place to be at least be on the bench as an option. Maresca can say this, that, and everything else, but Chilwell will play if he's allowed to, and it'll put in a decent, he'll put in a shift. In a game like today, I feel like Chilwell would have actually done well. Madueke, not his game. He was getting kicked about the pitch. It was really not a pleasant sight. He was getting pulled. He was getting kicked. He was just absolutely manhandled. And to be fair, dealt with well by Bournemouth. Neto, not a great performance by him. He was brought off at half-time. Palmer, didn't really see much of him, to be honest with you. Let's be honest. It was just, a fairly lackluster performance. Not a bad performance by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a performance that you were kind of like, where I don't really see much of him on the pitch. And Jackson, a quintessentially bad Jackson performance. Probably should have had a much better chance in the first half at getting the shot on target if he'd just taken the shot first time rather than waiting. But yeah, it's just not the best performance from anyone on the pitch, to be honest. Other than NKUNKU and Jadon Sancho, both off of the bench. Really good performances from both of them. Tosin and Joao Felix. Tosin, I can't really complain too much about, but Joao Felix just a terrible performance from him, and a booking to match as well. With that said, we move. We have got West Ham next on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff, so an early one. But hopefully we don't have Anthony Taylor for that game. I don't know who we've got. We've actually got the most exciting attack out there. Can't wait for them all to click. He drew so many fouls in the first half, fading in the second half. We shithouse that. We win, but we move on, says Luke, which is great way to end it, really. With that said, I'll be live on playback.tv/Alex Goldberg for the post-pod, which is live right now. So please do join me. Please do like, subscribe, hit the bell notification to be notified of any future content on the channel. With that said, my name is Harry Up the Chelsea.